Hey guys, welcome to Priceless B Movies. I'm your host, Colin Price, and we're going to go back in time with this one. I actually mentioned this movie way back when I started this page, one of my first videos that was about unwarranted R ratings. And then it hit me that it's one of the movies that I not only have not reviewed, but probably should at some point, because it is kind of one of those great kind of campy 80s horror movies, and it's directed by the one and only Freddy Krueger himself, Robert Englund. That's right. Freddy directed a movie, and now you get to spend the next few minutes hearing such a gent like myself spew bullshit about it. 976 Evil. So 976 Evil, like I said, is directed by Robert Englund, and it stars Stephen Jeffries from Fright Night as basically the kid from Fright Night. He was kind of a dork in that who turned into a monster, and in this he's kind of a dork that turns into a monster. Man, it's kind of interesting how that happens in Hollywood. You just do one thing well, and then you're just stuck doing it. Jeffries does have some hope, though, because he's got a cool older brother, played by Patrick O'Brien, who is kind of a greaser, if you guys have ever read or seen The Outsiders. He's kind of a greaser. He's, you know, got the motorcycle jacket and the motorcycle helmet, and he smokes, and he's sleeping with all the, you know, students still at Jeffries' school. Basically, he's the guy that we all think we were in high school, but actually weren't. As if things aren't bad enough at school for Jeffries, at home it's even worse, because his mom is basically like a comical version of Piper Laurie from Carrie. She's all religious, and she's all obsessive-compulsive, and she's all flaky, and so basically he has to deal with that at home. You know what, it just hit me. Jeffries is basically Carrie in this movie. Why didn't they just call this Carrie 2 and get on with it? Things are looking up, though, because Jeffries' older brother ends up with getting a nice tip about a horoscope line. You know, those numbers used to call back in the 80s and 90s? It'd be like, call this number for your horoscope today, or call this number for, you know, your lucky lotto numbers or whatever. And people actually bought into that crap. But they call this number, and it turns out to be the satanic line to hell. O'Brien's able to steer clear of this, but Jeffries isn't so lucky because, as everyone knows who watches these movies, when you're the geek, when you're the one who's bullied and picked on, and then you get even an ounce of power from something supernatural, you don't want to let it go. And before long, Jeffries starts turning into this monster and killing off kids at school and, you know, other people elsewhere. And, man, basically, like I said, it's kind of like Carrie. You know, I like this movie. I've liked this movie since the first time I saw it, but I'll admit that the first time I did see this film, I was really thrown off because I wasn't sure what to expect. This was, you know, kind of the mid to late 80s, and horror movies you got were either dead serious and usually not a whole lot of fun, or they were like kind of like horror comedy, and, you know, they were hit and miss, or they were just straight comedy with horror elements. And the thing is that when I saw this movie, I'm not sure what I was expecting from it, but the first time I saw it, I was really thrown off by kind of the sense of dread that Englund so masterfully blends in this, but then the dread kind of contrasts with the humor. There's not a whole lot of humor in this, but when it is, it kind of upstages the horror. It kind of comes in, and it's kind of like, here's you have this real suspenseful scene where the monster is now stalking whoever. There's a great bit where Jeffries is stalking a bully through a movie theater, and then it ends with a punchline, and it is very Freddy Krueger-esque, and unfortunately, the horror and the comedy don't always blend. The acting's pretty good here, though. Sandy Dennis as Jeffrey's mom is standout. I love when people play these like religious wackadoodles in these movies, because and I'm sure that they do too, because it always looks like they're having so much fun doing it. Jeffries himself is really good here, but like I said, he is kind of doing Fright Night. He really is the same kind of character. So, I mean, once you've done it once, you can do it again. There are some really nifty kills in this movie, too. Like I said when I mentioned it in my unwarranted R ratings, there isn't a lot of gore. There really isn't. There's 2 or 3 really bloody kills, and they're kind of secluded to like a 10-minute time span about halfway through the movie, and then after that it gets pretty tame again. I'm still not quite sure why this movie's rated R outside of those sequences. But there's some really cool effects work in here. The makeup is incredible that they put on Jeffries. And there's this really neat bit toward the end of the movie. They're all in the house together, and Jeffries is kind of chasing the other people through the house, and then it gets into, he says, well, he used to joke with his brother, I'll be cool when hell freezes over, and basically he turns the whole house into ice and splits it, so there's like this hellish portal at the big. It all sounds really wacky, but when you're watching it in the movie, it looks so freaking cool. 976 Evil gets 3 stars. This is a fun movie, but it's not really a movie. I mean, like I said, you might have the same problem that I had the first time I watched it, where, the humor doesn't blend with the horror as well. It was really only in repeat viewings that I, kind of got past that and was able to just enjoy the movie for what it was. Unfortunately, not everyone will give a movie a second chance like I do if they don't like it, so I can't give it a 4-star rating as much as I would like to. That's my review for 976 Evil. Stay tuned, I got a lot more of these coming. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more Priceless B Movies.